this is not red versus blue. This is not US versus China. This is not Europe versus Russia. This is not woke versus anti-woke.
Welcome back to Money 101. In a recent segment from the Bankless Clips podcast, Vitalik Buterin, a trailblazer in the crypto space, delves into the evolving landscape where cryptocurrency and artificial intelligence have yet to align with distinct factions. Buterin explores the untouched realms where these emerging technologies remain free from the influence of politics, patriotism, and tribalism. If you haven't done it yet, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It's necessary to help us bring you valuable content like this.
For the first time, people are actually thinking because their existing camps don't really tell them how to think, right? If you think about the even most recent EAC versus effective altruist debate to kind of give very approximated crude labels to the two camps. For example, this is not red versus blue. This is not US versus China. This is not Europe versus Russia. This is not woke versus anti-woke, right? This is basically a debate that's happening between two groups of people who even 2 or 3 years ago considered themselves to totally be part of the same tribe, basically the kind of San Francisco-centered tech-forward, AI-leaning gray tribe. People who went and, in many cases, continue to go to the same dinner parties or in the same social circles. And, suddenly there's this issue that has basically pulled them in very different directions. And, if you're coming at it from the outside, then, existing tribal mirrors don't really tell you much about it, right? Because, if you're the type of person who, for example, thinks that tech people are bad and, these are rich, white male-dominated fields that are totally out of touch with the rest of reality, and then, well, guess what? Both of these camps have a very large number of people that fit both of those descriptions, right? And both of those camps have, I think, a large number that do not. That also gets underappreciated, right? There's a huge international audience for a lot of these AI-focused things because similarly to how within the crypto space, things like ZK EVMs and ERC-4337 are kind of resetting a playing field and giving opportunities to people from regions that haven't really been historically well represented. In Ethereum, I think a lot of people around the world do also see AI as that kind of opportunity, right? And then if you're a left-leaning person who is very skeptical of corporations and who is pro-governments, to put it crudely, but most skeptical of governments when that government is being influenced by corporations, then well, guess what? The EIC and EA camps are both, doing a lot of influencing of governments, and there's lots of money on both sides, right? And so I think the way that this conflict really doesn't map to these existing tribal mirrors is it does create this interesting property, right? In that people actually have to figure out for the first time what actually is their own perspective on the particular issue, and how do they actually think about this totally new thing that was not even on most people's radars even 2 years ago, right? And I think within crypto, it's the same thing, right? In the sense that I feel like crypto has operated in a bit of this bubble where there hasn't really been too much dialogue between what's happening in the space and some of the discussions, both technological and political, that are happening outside of it, right? And I feel like there is, to some degree, this kind of extent to which big parts of the space were born in this 2008 era context where we're talking about like the chancellor being on the brink for the second bailout for banks, as the Bitcoin Genesis block says, like literally as part of the block body. The discussions around like ending the Fed, creating an alternative to central banks, and all of these things. And a lot of the big discussions in 2023 are just totally not related to that at all, right? It's like, I'm sorry, but like the Israel-Gaza situation is not going to be better if those lands were ran on sound money, right? That's, like same with AI, sorry, like sound money is not going to make, like P-Doom go down, right? Now it is possible to kind of overstate this, right? I mean, I think, like, for example, with the recent election of Argentina, where, like, I feel so far totally, like, unqualified to give a kind of, like, grand, this is good, this is bad perspective on it. But what I have noticed from the sidelines that fascinates me is that, like, Milei is actually talking about economics, and like Argentinian people do actually care about economics, right? And there definitely is an extent to which kind of the US and the rich countries generally have, I think, like Aspology has pointed out, moved from caring about the economic access to caring about the cultural access, right? It's like the issue that emotionally arouses people in the US these days, like it's not like pensions and healthcare and like savings, right? Or at least like that's not what the newspapers report about. But in places like Argentina, it still is, and there's like a refreshing sort of grounded in reality aspects to it. But like it's like important to recognize the ongoing importance of that, but also at the same time recognize this growing rapid emergence of these conversations that have just like nothing to do with any of those questions. And there's this big question of like, how does crypto actually relate to these topics, right? And I think a lot of people who come into the space because they have ideals and values and kind of goals and dreams that extend, like beyond like fairly narrow details of like, this is, like what the structure of the money is going to look like. Yeah, so I think it's important for the space to try to kind of engage in some of those other topics as well, right? Yeah, I think for a lot of those reasons, like I've been thinking about some of these other technological topics as well. And one of the things that I noticed, especially, like this past year in 2023, is that like I have a lot of beliefs about like blockchains and cryptocurrency and CK snarks. I also have a lot of beliefs about like the importance of longevity research. I also have my beliefs about geopolitics. I also have my beliefs about AI. Also have my beliefs about effective altruism. But like these sets of beliefs were not really talking to each other enough in a lot of cases, right? And like asking the question of like what really what is your actual take on like how crypto fits into this larger picture of the world, and like do the different parts of that perspective really like actually make sense in the context of the other parts of the perspective, right? It's like one of the questions that we totally should ask, for example, is like, if AI is so important, then like why not drop everything and start working on it, right? And like I think there are good answers to that question, but it is a like a question that actually needs to be asked, right? And so yeah, I was thinking about a lot of these topics, and then of course about a month and a half ago, Mark Andreessen's Techno-Optimist manifesto came out, and then of course an entire spectrum of replies to the Techno-Optimist manifesto came out, and then I started at least thinking about how I would write this kind of piece. And then, ZooConnect and DevConnect deleted a bunch, and then finally, the OpenAI situation just kind of like blasted. basically the exact same topic into focus in a lot of people's minds again. So I decided like I'd actually need to like get this document out there, and here we are.
How do Buterin's perspectives resonate with you regarding the apolitical and non-tribal nature of crypto and artificial intelligence? Share your views in the comments section. If you concur with this notion, do you believe these technologies will continue to remain detached from political and tribal affiliations? Your thoughts on this video matter, so drop a comment. Additionally, if you gained insights from our content, show your support by hitting the like button. It significantly aids viewers in discovering valuable content like ours. For those new to the channel, don't forget to hit subscribe to stay abreast of the latest in the crypto market and news. Appreciate your viewership, and we look forward to seeing you in the next installment.